Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to the February 8th edition of the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority meeting. It will please many of you to know that I am not the chair and will not be doing this for long, but we don't have a leader, so we're going to take care of that up front and let someone else do this. But in the meantime, we're going to get started. Trustee Benavidez and Member Real are excused from today's meeting, and all of our other members are present. We're going to begin our meeting as we always do with a moment of silence and then Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Olivas. Thank you, folks. We appreciate your patience. For tonight's agenda, we're going to move up item 10D, which is our other business, the election of officers. And so for that, we will take, I don't have our other script, but I'm going to do it on the fly because I kind of think we've done this before, unless somebody tells me otherwise. At this point, we'll take an open nominations for the office of chair for this year. Do we have a nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Olivas.
We have a nomination for Commissioner Olivas. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close the nominations. Seeing that we have one nominee and he didn't say no, we'll ask all those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? Congratulations, Commissioner. You are our new chair. If it's okay with you, I'll proceed with the vice chair and then we'll swap things around. Commissioners and members, councilors, we have an opening for vice chair for this year. Do we have a nomination? Councilor Jones.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Councilor Feeblecorn.
We have a nomination for Councilor Feeblecorn. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor say yes. Any opposed? And that carries unanimously well. Congratulations to both of you for your new positions. And Mr. Chair, it is your meeting.
Thank you, Counselor. Are we going to rearrange things here? Is that the plan? Okay, great. Sounds good. I want to start out here by recognizing Counselor Pena, who served as chair last term, and Commissioner O'Malley, who served as the vice chair of the Water Authority Board. I want to thank them for their service, and I'm sure that all of us here today join in that appreciation of their service and time serving our community and our Water Authority Board. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes. I make a motion to approve the December 7th, 2022 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries for approval. Item number 4, proclamations and awards. Item A is our quarterly employee incentive awards. If the employee is here to receive the award, please come forward when your name is called. Emerson Silva. Mr. Silva is recognized for his work updating utility record drawings to 21st century technical standards. And Mr. Silva will receive $150 for his work on this. Leon Torres and Jimmy Ryan. Leon Torres and Jimmy Ryan, $300 each. These individuals are recognized for their initiative in improving sludge processing systems at the Southside Water Reclamation Treatment Plant. Michael Arleano, Adrian Lucero, Chris Mitchum, Chris Peralta, Brian Heiken, $60 each. These employees are recognized for their committee work to improve employee morale, health, and safety. Anthony Medina and Gabriel Saavedra, $500 plus 10 hours each. These individuals are recognized for showing outstanding judgment and courage during an emergency, performing CPR on a highway supply employee who collapsed on a job site on November 12, 2020. Isaac Jaramillo, $150. Mr. Jaramillo is recognized for identifying a new source for engine parts, saving the utility approximately $10,000. David Cedillo, $60. Mr. Cedillo is recognized for his outstanding work in construction inspections. Ernesto Unale, Carlos Sena, Frank Small, Robert Alcantar, and Francisco Reyes, $150 each. These individuals are recognized for their outstanding work in leak repair and resolution. Cameron Shilvok, $60. Mr. Shilvok is recognized in the health and wellness category for making lifestyle changes resulting in, among other benefits, a 70-pound weight loss. Desiree Valdez, $200 plus 8 hours. Ms. Valdez is recognized for the outstanding job she did in organizing the 2022 United Way Giving Campaign and other charity fundraisers. Christopher Cordova and Javier Montoya, $150. These individuals are recognized for going above and beyond in their efforts to assist a customer with emergency repairs. Barney Baca, $60. Mr. Baca is recognized for his outstanding work in leak repair and resolution. Michael Williams, $150. Mr. Williams is recognized for innovation in repairing mechanical equipment that otherwise would have to be replaced at a significant cost to the utility. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Jake Zamora, $300 plus 10 hours. Mr. Zamora is recognized for his leadership and work ethic in his role as superintendent at the surface water treatment plant. Thank you, Mr. Zamora. Raul Garcia, George Saez, David Gonzalez, Andrew Montoya, Jude Gurule, Carlos Mares, Francis Lujan, Sofia Agustin, and Patricia Sullivan, $60 each. These soil amendment facility haulers are recognized for contributions to increase productivity and efficiency at the soil amendment facility. And that concludes our employee recognitions. Item number 5, we have public comment. Ms. Salas, I lost my place here. Ms. Salas, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
We have one speaker, Elaine Hubbard.
Thank
We
you.
have one.
Just a reminder, you will have 3 minutes to speak with a warning at 2.5 minutes. Ms. Salas, will you please call the first speaker?
I'm back. Sorry. Welcome back, or for some, first time at the board. I have been a long-time observer, and I try to use my background of chemistry, law, and water planning to provide some insights and information otherwise maybe not presented to help you make fact-based, thoughtful decisions. Your decisions include things like approving new uses and users, rates, conservation measures, drought declarations, budgets, asset management plans, water quality improvements, while also keeping the public on board. Each decision requires a lot of background knowledge and detail. In 3 minutes, there's no way I can give that kind of detail. I did provide some written comments, which I've asked to have also included in the record, which hopefully gives that. It's great to see the snowpack numbers today. And while it's too early right now, hopefully we'll see close to 100% of river flows. But even that's not going to get us out of trouble. For years, we, fish, farmer, fowl, bosque people, have been consuming way too much water, more than we've been allocated under the Rio Grande Compact. Last year, we were able to chip away at the compact, but it will take concerted effort continuing to keep going down that road. MRGCD, and I made an error here, MRGCD has committed to cut not 80%, 20% from their diversions this year. What commitments is the ABCWA willing to do in addition to already happening? For the past several years, groundwater withdrawals have been substantially higher than they have been planned for either in the annual operating plan or in the Water 2120 plan. We could capture maybe some of the wastewater and recycle it, but because pumping's higher, it has to be used for offsets for river flow depletions at a time when those river flows are already declining. It will take about 1.2 GPCD units every year to be reduced from the current amount to get us in line in 2037 with the goal. So I have a whole bunch of suggestions. A few of them report what savings are now being seen by the action so you can figure out which to tweak and which not. Set some metrics for groundwater depletions. Enter into an agreement with the MRG users to perhaps get rid of ornamental lawns, just like with the Colorado River users. Use some of those monsoonal flows. Focus this year's customers' conversations on drought and aridification. Next meeting will be on World Water Day, which is about accelerating change to solve the water and sanitation crisis. How apropos. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hebert. That concludes item 5, public comment. Item number 6, announcements and communications. Item A, our next scheduled meeting will be for March 22nd, 2023 at 5 p.m. in the Vincent Griego Council Chambers. Item number 7, introduction of legislation. Item AR 23-3, adopting a franchise agreement with the Village of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque. Mr. Charles Kohlberg will be presenting this item.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So a franchise agreement is basically a rental agreement that we have as the Water Authority with the various jurisdictions that are served by the Water Authority. So we have a franchise agreement with the city, the county, and this particular one is with the Village of Los Ranchos. So what we try to do as much as we possibly can is to locate all of our pipes within the right-of-way of a jurisdiction, because then we have government to work with, we don't have to have easements. So the right-of-way agreement is basically what this is. It's an agreement to use the right-of-way. We have our pipes in the right-of-way. In this case, it's with the Village of Los Ranchos. Now, the rent that is paid for that agreement is a 4% on everyone's bill. So every Los Ranchos customer has 4% on their bill that is collected by the Water Authority and given immediately to the village, similarly with the city and the county. And so this is for introduction, and it will be heard at the next meeting.
Thank you,
Any
Mr.
questions?
Kohlberg. Any questions from the board? That'll take us to item B, R 23-4, amendment to the approved operating and capital implementation program of the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. Mr. Stan Allred will be presenting this item. Mr. Allred, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name's Stan Allred. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Water Authority. What you have here, I'll be a little winded just because I see a lot of new faces. So this is our mid-year adjustments to our budget. The first adjustments to Fund 21, which is our general fund. It basically increases spending for chemicals and power by $1.5 million. We're on pace to overspend what we appropriated. We will use fund balance that's available to finance that. So really no impact, but just moving the appropriation to cover those exceeded costs. A lot of things has been happening, supply, and we turned the plant on much earlier than we had in the past few years, so those costs have increased. We received revenues in Fund 27, which is our CIP fund for Water 2120 projects. We had water lease charges and water rights in about $858,000. So we're recognizing that revenue and appropriating an additional $423,000 for Water 2120 projects. Fund 29 is another CIP program. It's our growth program. We had received ARPA money from the county, which we very much appreciate. We received an additional $1 million, and we're recognizing that additional $1 million that we received from the county for that work. And then there's a couple projects with that money will be applied to, which is an interceptor project and volcano Cliffs Reservoir on the west side of Albuquerque. Fund 41 is a new fund we created last year for the San Juan Chama Project Contractors Association Fund. They've experienced some expenses, so we're taking some fund balance revenue to fund those expenditures. And then we also charge people in the program an assessment fee, and we're going to apply that revenue as well. And so basically that's introduction of the cleanup for the budget for approval on the next board meeting. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Alred. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, we'll move on. That concludes item number 7. Item 8 is consent agenda. There are no items on the consent agenda. That takes us to item 9, approvals. First item here, item A, R22-41, development agreement for Fitz Drinks 7 Bar Loop. And we have Chris Cadena here to present. Here.
Yeah. Hello. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I present to you a development agreement for proposed development located on the west side for a project known as Fizz Drinks. It's a drive-through soda shop. And for service to be provided, the developer is required to install some sanitary sewer, also connect to existing water lines proximate to the site. So this development agreement also requires that the development pay utility expansion charges and water supply charges. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? I do have one, just quick one here. This, again, to confirm the developer's paying all costs associated with this connection. And
That is correct. Yeah, the Water Authority has a no net expense policy which requires developers to pay their fair share or their share for their costs of their development.
thank you, sir. Do we have a motion on this item? Second from Councilor Davis. Any discussion? See none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? See none, the item passes unanimously. Item B, R23-1, amending resolution R22-17 to clarify that the sale of property located at the southwest corner of 2nd Street and Rio Bravo Boulevard is subject to approval of the New Mexico State Board of Finance. Director Sanchez, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what's before you is a resolution amending a previously adopted resolution which allowed us to surplus some property, and it was subject to property containing affordable housing, as Councilor Fugicor may recall. Based on that, we negotiated a sale of the property to Yes Housing, a local not-for-profit housing developer. The sale of property is subject to approval by the State Board of Finance. On January the 18th, the Board of Finance approved the sale, meaning it met all the appraisal standards, et cetera. However, the initial resolution did not contain the language that it was subject to the standards of the State Board of Finance. So the resolution today simply amends the previous resolution, indicating we understand we have to comply with those standards. I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you, Director Sanchez. Any questions from the board? Councilor Fugicor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not really a question, just as a reminder, because there's new folks on. When this originally came up, this board amended it to require that it have some affordable housing aspect to it. And so we didn't know that we needed to add that in, so I'm glad we're able to fix it now.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I just want to give my compliments to the board that was here on really making sure that this property had a great, best use for its new life. So, thank you, councilors. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion is adopted. Item C, R23-2, authorizing the removal of certain uncollectible accounts from the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority accounts receivable records FY 2019 and prior. Mr. Alred.
Members of the board, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what we have here is a write-off we do every quarter. We take any debt or any accounts that we have past due in our billing system that's 4 years or older. We write those off. What you have before you is request to write off $79,848 worth of uncollectible accounts payable. Primarily, it's made up of $26.9 thousand for water and wastewater accounts. A UEC loan of about $501,000 we were not able to collect. Outside billing at $29.6, primarily that's compost. A few years ago, we were collecting, we would bill people getting compost at our SAF. We now collect those bills via credit card payments, but we still have some of those on the books, so that's what that is. And then we have about $22.7 thousand on water, wastewater delinquency fees that we were unable to collect. And I stand for any questions, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions from the board? Councilor Fiebelkorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I ask this every time, but I just want to make sure that the folks that are, at the level of disconnect that are included in this have received the maximum type of energy, water efficiency services, and that they've been given as much help as they can to stay up to date for the residential users that are in this package.
Yeah, Madam Vice Chair, I just will elaborate a little bit. During the pandemic, we had stopped doing turnoffs. We have started that up about 9 months ago, but we have not yet began doing delinquencies again. So since the pandemic, we have not been charging delinquency fee on past due accounts. We have been using the state to help us get funding, which, if I remember right from Ms. Candelaria sent us a response, we did upwards of 10,000 accounts we helped with the 2 different programs from the state of New Mexico. And so we continue to try to help the public, and we tried to help them a lot through the pandemic as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to make sure that those folks are getting connected with the efficiency programs as well. Mr. Bustos does an amazing job, but I just want to make sure that the most vulnerable folks are the ones that are getting those services first.
Councilor Davis.
And Councilor Fiebelkorn beat me to it. And Stan, you already got there, and I didn't have the forethought to ask ahead of time, but I was curious. Of, say, those 10,000 folks that more or less got assistance from the authority, what do we know so far? Maybe that's a down-the-road conversation, but what do we know so far about their ability to stay connected, to catch back up, to get back in a normal cycle? I just would hate to see us in 3 years have that, have this delinquency and these cutoffs and these uncollectibles just spike. Where are we with that? Or are they doing better, or what else we need?
Councilor Davis, I think the public is doing better, but what we as a utility continue to do is we have an outreach program. So if people meet certain guidelines, we use 2 of the different food banks in the city to help us get funding. This board has approved several programs. One is they're both assistance funds. One is a group, if you meet a certain income levels, that we give you a discount on your base rates. And then we also have a program to help if you, a one-time shot, if you have a problem and how you got sick or something, you can't pay your bill, we'll help you with that. And then, you have to be current on your bill, but we use the other program to help you get current on your bill if that's the case. So, and we use the food banks because a lot of people that are in those types of situations go there. And we also participate with the county and the city and PNM and New Mexico Gas Company and their customer fairs to do funding. Adrian Candelaria is our customer service manager. Her and her staff go to those. They spend a whole day there when the county and city does that with PNM. So we continue the outreach. They come, we work on repayment plans with our customers to repay their bills and whatnot. So Adrian's staff does a very good job working with our customers and getting the help that they need, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm incredibly impressed in the way the Water Authority responded during COVID, and it's actually, I think, created some programs that I think are long-term now and doing better for efficiency and other things that will help. So it's fabulous, and thank you all for doing it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I do have one for you, Mr. Albert. I was actually just apologize to the other members of the board here that are probably well-versed in this, but what exactly is the process when the average customer's bill becomes delinquent? What process do we follow? These are the 2019, so several years old.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you become delinquent and you become 90 days past due and it's over $300, we start making a more of an attempt. We'll send you letters saying we're going to turn you off, and then we'll start going through a process of actually turning you off. So right now the threshold was about $2,000 when we came off the pandemic. I think the threshold now is $750 past due. We will contact you. We'll tell you we're going to turn off your water. We will work with you on repayment plans, so we don't have to do that. We do turn off your water. You can come back into the office and make a payment, and we'll turn your water back on. At the same time, the staff will work with the customer on repayment plans as well. If you break the repayment plan, then there's consequences to that. We also help the city of Albuquerque collect their solid waste bills. So we bill on behalf of the city of Albuquerque their solid waste. The only way you can really get turned off for sewer or solid waste is through your water. So if you don't have water attached to those two accounts, then we don't stop service for those. We'll never stop service for sewer, and the city does not stop service for garbage collection.
Yes, Commissioner Barboa.
And sorry, I know you were starting to walk on. I'm new too, though, but I guess I'm just interested in if we have programs that help folks with assistance, like, don't we know who those folks are? I don't understand why we need to do outreach at a food, I'm opposed to doing outreach at a food bank, but like, don't we know who needs the help because they're maybe delinquent on their bill? And like, is part of that process that you just talked about offering those services at those places?
Madam Chairman and members of the board and Commissioner Barboa, we have about 220,000 accounts. So it's very large. So we don't know their income levels. And what we do is we're a property-based utility, so we bill the premise. We don't bill individuals. So everything we collect is on the premise. So if you move from one house if you sold your house and moved to another house, we're not going to follow the collection of you to the new house. We continue to follow the collection of the primary premise. So then a lot of the closing costs, they make you pay up all your water bills on closing. So we don't track individuals in our billing system. We only look at premises.
I guess that my better question, sorry, Chair, is that if we're calling, as part of that process that you just talked about, calling folks to say, hey, or sending them a notice, is part of that have the access to apply for the assistant program?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Barboa, yes, we send that out. It's on the back of the bills. It says it has the assistance. It has customer services number. If the bills are sent electronically, you get an electronic copy of your bill. On the back of the bill stub, on the back, it has all that information on the back. So, and it's on our website as well. We do a lot of, so I talked about outreach in a group, but we also do a lot of outreach through our website, through our billings. Mr. Morris does a lot of that. So we're actively always trying to reach the public and giving them options. how to take care of, because the one thing we want to do is make sure we take care of our customers first and foremost.
Thank you, Mr. Allred. Any further questions from the board? Do we have a motion on this item? Motion and a second from Vice Chair Feeblecorn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Item D, C-23-1, approval of contract with Instituform Technologies LLC for construction services at I-40 Western Trail Pipeline Rehab. And we have Mr. David Laughlin. Mr. Laughlin, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm here requesting board approval to contract with Instituform Technologies for the rehab of 2.3 miles of 48-inch concrete interceptor sewer pipe located on Albuquerque's west side between I-40 and Western Trail. This interceptor pipe was installed in 1965 and is approaching the limits of its useful life and requires rehab. Currently, the Water Authority spends about 20% of our annual CIP budget on sewer rehab and repair. And right now, there's over 80 miles of interceptor pipe in our system that is considered high risk, heavily degraded pipe. And so in order to chip away at that significant amount of sewer pipe that requires a rehab, we target completion of about 3 to 5 miles of interceptor sewer on an annual basis with the available funds that we have. And so this 2.3 mile rehab project will significantly go towards our annual goals for FY23 and FY24. The fiscal impact of this project is, of this 2.3 mile stretch of interceptor rehab is $16,075,695.86. This amount is currently fully funded in our CIP budget for FY23 and FY24, since the project will straddle both fiscal years. And it's identified as a priority project in our FY24 decade plan update. And I'll now stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Laughlin. Any questions from the board? Thank you. Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve? Motion from Commissioner Baca, second from Councilor Jones. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item E, C-23-2, FY 2023 second quarter operating financial reports. Mr. Allred, you have the floor again.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what you have before you is our fiscal year 2023 second quarter financials. The first slide is our year-to-date operating revenue. Basically, it's a little higher than last year. We did have a rate increase that this board approved, the 5% rate increase. It has generated an additional $2 million through the first 2 months. It is about $2 million short of what we anticipated. Just an FYI, consumption levels have dropped dramatically in this fiscal year, at the beginning of the fiscal year, which is a good thing. Being an accountant is kind of a bad thing because it's the revenue, but it is a good thing. So you'll see a slight increase from 23 to 22, but that's compounded a little bit. And we'll discuss that later in the fiscal year as well. The next slide is expenditures. There's an increase on the top line for the in general and administrative. That's the increase in transfers to CIP that we do every year. So that's to accommodate that. And there was also an increase in the transfer of what we were paying for debt service. And then you'll see on a line that's basically general and administrative, that's chemicals and power. That's the $1.5 million we talked about earlier. And that's the increase in that line. On the next slide is operating expenditures by month. The spike in July is when we pay a big portion of our debt service payments. So, and then we basically take the operating budget and we straight line it across. So that's the gray bars. The blue bars is what we actually spent. Historically, we've been doing pretty good. We've had a lot of overtime in December. We had some concrete water cylinder leaks and stuff that our staff had spent some overtime and things working on, and keeping the water flowing and keeping the streets safe. Days cash on hand. Our goal is to be about 400 days cash on hand. We're right about at that. Again, revenue's impacting that to some degree, but we're still in a very good place, and it's allowed us to pay for some of the extra expenditures, well, with that cash on hand. The next slide, year-to-date capital expenses. We're on track to spend what we have for CIP. I just want to kind of explain the difference between FY '22 and '23. What we do with the capital budget is that we keep, unlike the general fund budget, capital budget, always the appropriations live forever. So every year, we reappropriate what we didn't spend, and we move it to the next fiscal year. CIP projects, you can't just do a project in 1 year. They take multiple years to do, so we continue to grow that. So we had an appropriation in '22, but we didn't spend all the money, and as you can see in FY '23, we're now spending the money on those projects. But we are in where we want to be with our capital budget. Next slide, our debt coverage. Just to understand, for our senior debt, we need to maintain a 1.33 coverage ratio and 1.2 for senior and subordinate. The blue line is our senior lane, where we're at through the second quarter. We're at about 1.8, so we're well above the 1.33. And we're at about 1.75 on senior and subordinate, which is well above the 1.2 level. Next slide, water use production. I'll do these real quick. You can see the silver bar graph going through. That's how much water we produce, which is through the first half of the year, which is much less than we had in the 4 years prior. And that also results in what you see on this slide with water consumption. You see the same graphic. So you can see the reduction in water usage. Our customers have reacted to the drought in a very positive way. And here's a picture that basically shows how they're doing. And then the last slide is our precipitation versus production. We had a very wet first half of the year, this fiscal year, so from like August through December. And as you can see that we've had there was probably more precipitation than we had in the prior 2 years, 3 years, and consumption levels drop in relationship to that. And that concludes my presentation, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Allred. Councilor Davis?
Mr. Howard, thank you. I always appreciate this, and I apologize. I'm catching up a little bit from my hiatus from the board. So you mentioned lower consumption rates, and you showed us, obviously, it's always usually about weather, right? But I'm curious, I think there were some indications in something I spoke to a journal reporter about not long ago about lower economic activity impacting consumption on the commercial side, et cetera. Is that having an impact, or is this really just weather and that's just the normal fluctuations? Or is this kind of the new normal with lower consumption and lower revenue?
Mr. Chairman and Councilor Davis, I think it's all of the above.
Okay.
I think we've sent a very good message as a utility about the water, the drought. I think our customers reacted very well with the drought. I think the rain helped to some degree, but I really believe that this utility and this board and the direction it's given it's done a lot for our customers to react and do positive things with the drought restrictions and everything else that's going on in this environment. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from the board? I do have one for you, Mr. Allred. In looking through this, and I'm not sure if it was this one or several of these items, that we sell water, right? I mean, that's the primary revenue source here for the Water Authority. And decreasing use is a positive thing from an environmental perspective, et cetera. But from the perspective of the capital improvement plan, it's somewhat troubling, and I noticed that comment theme throughout. How do we bridge that gap with aging infrastructure needing investments and declining or pretty much flat rate base?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, by policy, we have to spend over 50% on CIP with cash. This board has mandated that we increase our capital spending by $3 million a year. And we have done that. We have done that for 10 consecutive years. I think this fiscal year we put a little bit of hold on it because of constraints with revenue. But the plan is to always look at increasing the spending. You'll hear a lot, as being a member of this board, of our asset management plan. Our asset management plan, it basically is a plan to look at all our assets and prioritize when we work on them, how much they're going to cost, and then prioritize where we spend our CIP dollars the best. But the goal is to always increase the spending. We're at about $76 million a year on CIP. When the Water Authority first got created, it was about $30 million. $76 million lives forever, so if you don't spend the 76 this year, what you don't spend carries on to the next year, and we add an additional. So the next year would be 79, 82. That's always been the plan. So we continue to take care of our aging infrastructure, and we know it's very important. There was also, a couple years ago, customer conversation with the customers talking about if we had to have rate increases for capital projects, such as the water reclamation plant, doing that work, and our public and our customers understand that there's a need and we need to do that. But that's always foremost on our mind, is taking care of the infrastructure. And they do a very good job with it. The asset management group does a very good job with it. The engineering planning group does a very good job planning these projects and getting things done and working with the operations staff. So,
Appreciate that. Anything further? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Albert. Do we have a motion on this item? Councilor Jones, second from Commissioner Barboa. All in favor say aye. Aye. Seeing none opposed. The item carries unanimously, and that takes us to our final item, item F, C23-3, the annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal years ended June 30, 2022 and 2021. Mr. Albert.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what you have in your packets is our 2022 and 2021 annual comprehensive financial report. We had an exit conference in November with Commissioner Pena as the chair, and Councilor Pena and Commissioner O'Malley as the vice chair. It was an audit done by the SGG group. We submitted the budget on December 1st on time. It got approved by the state auditor's office at the end of December. There was a clean audit, both from the audit and the single audit, which was the grant money that we received from the county with the ARPA funds. We had no audit findings. We cleared the prior audit findings, so there was no audit findings on this. I would say, you know, it's a very long document and it's kind of dry in general, but pages 6 through 16 is an introductory section. It has a transmittal letter from Mr. Sanchez to the board in there. I believe it's pages 6 through 12. It really gives you a lot of detail of what this utility has done in the prior year and what we're going to do in the coming year. But 6 through 16 gives you a lot of information about the staff and what the utility has been working on from CIP and the issues we have with the drought and everything else. So I would recommend that. But it basically just letting the board know that we have an approved budget from the state auditor and we're presenting to you at this moment.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. Any questions? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve this. Any second? Councilor Davis. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. That motion carries unanimously. That concludes item 9, approvals, takes us to item 10, other business. Our first item here, item AOB 23-1, is a drought update from Mr. Carlos Bustos. Mr. Bustos, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, my name is Mark Kelly. I am not Carlos Bustos. Carlos has twin girls, and one of them is unfortunately quite ill tonight. So I am stepping in to pinch hit for him. And I am the Water Resources Division Manager, and our conservation program is in the Water Resources Division. And tonight I'm going to be giving you an update regarding the current drought. As you can see from the drought monitor, the majority of Bernalillo County is currently in moderate drought. If we look historically from where we were a couple of years ago, things are looking better in terms of drought for most of the western United States. The very dark red there indicates severe drought, and right now there isn't any severe drought at all in the state of New Mexico. So things are looking up in terms of that for us. Over the last year, we've charted temperature in the city of Albuquerque. The upper red line indicates record highs, and the lower indicates record lows in blue. The dark blue indicates what was actually observed, and we had a pretty mild, especially end of the year, including monsoon clouds keeping our summer temperatures relatively cool. Things have been looking pretty normal in terms of temperature. In terms of rainfall for 2022, we had a little bit more rainfall than average, which was about 9.3 inches, slightly above normal. Most of this rainfall occurred between June and September, coming in some very big spikes there in the monsoon season. When we look at our snowfall to try and predict surface flows for this upcoming spring and summer, things are looking pretty good. We have in the San Juan Chama watershed, where we get our surface water for our water treatment plant, it's at about 139% of normal, so 39% more than the average year. And the Rio Grande is even, Rio Grande watershed is even slightly above normal as well. We're hoping that that turns into actual wet water that we can utilize in the Rio Grande, but also that gets diverted from our San Juan Chama project diversions in southern Colorado. But when we look at the seasonal drought outlook for the next 3 months or so, it's improved slightly since the last couple of months, but there's still some uncertainty. This has been a La Niña winter, which indicates a drying trend. So for our area, we have drought persisting and drought development likely over much of the middle Rio Grande of New Mexico. Currently, we are in drought stage 1. Our rolling annual average gallons per capita per day, which is used to determine the drought stage criteria, is below our goal. We're at about 124 gallons per person per day. And our groundwater pumping has been at about 116% of the goal, which is more than we would like it to be, but it is less than 140%. We are, though, staying in drought stage 1 due to conditions like the drought persisting and becoming likely over the rest of the state. In drought stage 1, it's part of our really 4-part drought management plan. And we are right now doubling fees for wasting water and also offering rebates for customers that attend our Drought Smart classes. During this drought, we have enacted other actions that aren't mandated by the drought plan. These include our public information campaign. We've done outreach to some of our high water users to help them conserve more water. And we are also currently updating our drought plan to bring it into the future. The Water Authority has also signed a memorandum of understanding amongst Colorado River users that are municipalities. And we've signed this MOU, and it really commits us to doing a lot of the great things that we're already doing in terms of conservation, like increasing reuse, and increasing our efficiency of indoor fixtures, employing best practices for conservation, and also the MOU has a goal of us getting a 30% reduction in non-functional turf. So the Water Authority has committed to that, and we're working on implementing it. With that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions from the board? Councilor Fiebelkorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you walk me through the drought stage triggers, that slide one more time? I'm a little confused because it seems like to me that if we are still pumping over our goals, we should be doing everything we can to get that number down. But we're somehow still just in stage 1 and we're not doing all those additional items that are listed on the next page. So can you just talk me through that?
Certainly. Mr. Chair and Councilor Fiebelkorn, so there are two axes there. One is the gallons per capita day compared to where we're at with our goal. Our gallons per capita per day is doing really well. So we're going to be at that less than 2 GPCD over the goal, the first row there. And then we go over and we have our groundwater pumping versus where we are with our annual operating plan. And if we are less than 2 GPCD over our goal, and we would not be in stage 1 until we are over 140% of the groundwater pumping goal. So, you know, we are currently at 119%, I believe I said, and we're less than that 140, but when we were over 140 of the goal, we did enact drought stage 1.
So we're now currently in stage 0, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair and Councilor Fiebelkorn, we could be in no drought stage 0 right now, based on the recommendation of the executive director to this board to come out of the drought stages. And we haven't really advised that because of the La Nina winter predictions, and also with the growing season coming up, it would be kind of a little bit jarring to our customers to maybe pull out of a drought stage 1 when we might be going back into drought stage 1 as the growing season comes on, summer happens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I would just say until we've reached our goals, we should be in drought stage, and it seems to me like stage 2 would be a better place to be. If we're still over pumping and we're still overusing individuals on a daily basis, it feels like we should be doing more to reduce water use in our community, not considering going out of drought stages at all. But thank you.
Anything further from the board? Thank you, Councilor Feeblecorn, and thank you, Mr. Kelly. Sorry about the mix-up on the names,
that's fine.
being the new guy here, one of them. That takes us to item B, OB 23-2, Customer Conversations 2022, and Drought Plan Update. Mr. David Morris.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name is David Morris. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for the Water Authority. I'd like to welcome all the new and returning members for our new year. Today, I'll be providing a brief overview regarding outcomes from last November's Customer Conversations meetings, which sought input apropos of the drought discussion on proposed updates to the utilities drought plan. And for those members not familiar with Customer Conversations, it's an outreach program that we started about 10 years ago to solicit feedback from customers on issues of importance to the utility. Essentially, the meetings are sort of expanded focus groups, if you will. We did the meetings in person for many years before COVID, and then when the pandemic came, we switched to an online format, which we continued in 2022. So 3 Customer Conversations meetings were held in mid-November, all of them virtual, as I indicated. All Water Authority customers were eligible to participate, but space was limited and pre-registration was required. We promoted the meetings via bill inserts, social media, news releases, and an email blast. And we incentivized participation by offering a $35 Target gift card for everyone who stayed for the entirety of the meeting. Because we're now, having done 2 years virtually prior to this, we're able to predict no-shows with greater confidence, and therefore we knew that we could expand the number of registrations allowed, and this resulted in a 92% increase in participation compared to 2021. So obviously we were pleased about that. Historical trends continued where geographic participation is concerned, with most participants coming from the northeast and northwest quadrants. We did do some special outreach to the southeast and southwest quadrants via social media to try to increase participation there. That's obviously will continue to be a challenge moving forward. In terms of age, we saw a nice distribution with most attendees under the age of 65. The virtual meeting format does seem to attract a greater percentage of participants in the 35 to 44 range. Retirees tended to be overrepresented in the in-person meetings. In terms of education, as in years past, educated individuals participated at a higher rate. Actually, 31% with a master's degree and almost 30% with a bachelor's degree. We were glad to see that almost 3/4 of participants were new to the program and bringing presumably fresh perspectives to the meetings. And participant evaluations were almost universally positive regarding their experience of the meetings, with almost 100% of people either agreeing, somewhat or strongly agreeing that their time was well spent, their input was valued, that they would participate again, and that they learned something that they didn't know about the subject matter. We did do, these meetings were a little shorter than we had been doing in the past, and we asked the participants if they thought that was okay, and most of them seemed to think that the hour-long format that we adopted for this year's meetings was just right. Also, the virtual meeting format, of course, the people participating might have been biased since it was an online format, but 95% of them said that they preferred the virtual format to an in-person gathering. brief discussion of what we talked about in the meetings. We were focused, as I indicated, on drought planning and some proposed changes to the drought management plan. We started by defining drought and explaining the drought classifications that the Weather Service has. We explained our current drought plan, and we examined some possible new drought measures to possibly put into effect in the future. And then we did moderated breakout discussions of the proposals in order to gauge customer support. And I'll just briefly go through the feedback that we got. We asked participants to rate proposed drought measures from 1 to 5, with 1 being the worst idea possible and 5 being a great idea. The first measure we looked at was the use of direct outreach to high-use customers offering free water audits. This was well received. A lot of folks there in the 4s and 5s. And as Mr. Kelly indicated, that's something that we've been piloting already. The next proposal was to create an assistance program for installation of water-saving devices by low-income homeowners. A lot of support for that. Another proposal was to increase conservation surcharges earlier, but apply these increases to high-use customers only. Again, pretty solid support for that. There was also pretty broad support for enacting an ordinance to restrict the use of ornamental non-functional turf, such as in parking lots, medians, etc. And you heard Mr. Kelly discussing that as the turf reduction as part of our MOU with the other basin states. One area that did not receive a great deal of enthusiastic support was the idea of restricting landscape watering to 1 day per week at drought stage 2 instead of waiting until stage 3. So that's a summary of the feedback that we did receive, and I would be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Any questions from the board? Councilor Davis.
Really quickly, Mark, thank you for Mr. Morris, thank you for being here. You mentioned the pilot of sort of the water audits for the high users. Do we have any information yet on how that's going, and is that effective, or is it just too early? I think it's something we were talking about the last time I was on the board, and I think we were really excited about it.
We may indeed have information on that. Mr. Kelly would be in a better position to comment on that if he's still with us.
That's great. Yeah, maybe we should follow up on that maybe at another meeting or just follow up. It'd be interesting to see how well that's working. Thank you.
Councilor Fiebelkorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just really happy to see the low-income assistance program got such a high number, and I know he's not here tonight, but Mr. Bustos has been really, really proactive on this and working with Prosperity Works and others in the community to really be an active participant in those low-income programs for energy use and water use reductions for low-income customers, and I think they're going really well, and I just think he's doing a wonderful job, so just wanted to share that. I hope he's not listening and he's with his child, but he hears about this later.
Anyone else? I wanted to get a little more information from you on the proposed ordinance that you were asking folks about. What kind of information were you presenting on that, and what would that involve?
Well, we presented it in, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, we presented it in very general terms to the group to sort of, as a trial balloon, float it and see what if there was support for the concept. We don't know yet exactly how it would work in terms of would this be an ordinance? Would this be a voluntary program? Is it just all about community outreach, or is there going to be some kind of enforcement mechanism? That's all still in discussion at this point.
Commissioner Barbeau.
I just noted you said, right, about that the lowest participation was from southeast, southwest part. And And you sort of said that'll be a continual problem. I guess, are there efforts to make sure, I mean, that, right, if we know that, and also know the education levels, like those two things, that we know that the most surveyed are higher education and from north and southeast, north and northwest sides of town, are there a way to address for our next years to try and really get greater participation from different education backgrounds and from south to central, I guess?
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, over the history of the program, you know, these numbers are reflecting sort of what we've seen historically, and we're always having internal discussions about how we can increase participation from those underrepresented areas, and that'll be obviously a point of focus as we plan for this year's meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. If there's no further comments or discussion on that, we can move on to item C, OB 23-3, the Colorado River and Water 2120.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, hello again. I'm here to now talk about some things you might have been hearing in the news about the Colorado River, as well as our water resources management strategy, which is Water 2120. So the Water Authority, we get our San Juan Chama water from the Colorado River Basin. It's called a transbasin diversion. And so we are very interested in what is going on the Colorado in general. The Colorado River, in 1922, a compact was signed in Santa Fe amongst the 7 Colorado Basin states to basically share Colorado River water. There are 2 basins, the upper basin, which includes us in New Mexico, the state of Colorado, the state of Utah, and the state of Wyoming, as well as the lower basin, which includes the states of California, Nevada, and Arizona. We, in New Mexico, get 11.25% of the apportionment of the upper Colorado River Basin. The Colorado River Basin, as you probably heard, is in drought. Lake Powell and Lake Mead are at critically low elevations right now due to that drought. And the Department of Interior, which manages the system, has implemented several things to address that. They've done things like their drought response operations plan in the upper basin states. They've put out a requirement that basin states save 2 to 4 million acre feet, but that call went unheeded. They are now looking at developing their guidelines in the post-2026. They've come up with a supplemental environmental impact statement for operating guidelines for this upcoming year. And a lot of things are going on by the federal government to try and address the levels in Lake Mead and Lake Powell. They're reaching levels that are threatening power generation. So there are a lot of impacts, not only for water for users, but also for electricity. As a response to the latest supplemental environmental impact statement, 6 states, all of the states in the basin except for California, came up with a consensus agreement of planned cuts to lower basin states based on these falling levels in Lake Mead. California came up with their own plan as well. And the California plan also includes cuts to the lower basin states, but isn't quite as much as the consensus agreement. Both of these plans do not include any cuts to our basin, the upper basin states. But we've seen hydrologically, with the less amount of rain and snowfall, that the upper basin has seen cuts by Mother Nature already. So now it's kind of up to the Bureau of Reclamation and specifically the Secretary of the Interior to decide what to do based on these two proposals or her own discretion as well. Like I said, in New Mexico, we have about 11% of the upper basin. When you look at the big pie of the river, that isn't that much. The San Juan Chama project has a smaller slice of that, about 96,000 acre feet allocated every year, and the Water Authority's portion of the San Juan Chama project is about half at 48,200 acre feet. Now, the Colorado River was allocated in times that were much wetter than the times that we live in 100 years ago. So there is 16.5 million acre feet of allocations, but recently the river has not been a 16.5 million acre feet river by far. Also, I wanted to point out in this map that Mexico also has an apportionment due to treaties that the United States has signed with them. So in terms of usage, you can see on this graph that New Mexico gets about 850,000 acre feet allocated on a perfect year, which hasn't happened. But New Mexico is only using about 390,000 acre feet for the entire state of Colorado River usage. Most of the usage is occurring in those lower basin states. So like I said, the Water Authority, we have diversions in southern Colorado that bring our San Juan Chama water from snowmelt through the Azotea Tunnel that runs underneath the Continental Divide into Lake Heron. And then we are able to use the water after it comes into Lake Heron. So we're very concerned about issues on the Colorado, but if you recall to the big pie piece, we're a very small piece of the overall pie. To that end, we have been meeting with the New Mexico Interstate Stream Commission on a monthly basis. We've been coordinating with them and the New Mexico Commissioner to the Upper Colorado River Commission. We've signed that memorandum of understanding that I talked about in the drought update amongst major municipalities. We've written a letter to the Bureau of Reclamation, Commissioner Touton, describing some of the great conservation efforts that we've done here in Albuquerque and telling our story. Yeah, we're trying to remain actively involved as much as we can. To that end, the Water Authority has been instrumental in developing a partnership amongst San Juan Chama contractors. Most of the San Juan Chama contractors, these are people that also receive San Juan Chama water through the project, have partnered in the San Juan Chama Project Contractors Association. The Water Authority, as Mr. Allred said, is the fiscal agent for that association, and the association exists to, work with the Bureau of Reclamation on issues that come up with the San Juan Chama project, but also the Colorado River in general, and participate in ways to learn more about what's going on. To that end, we are participating in the technical education work group. So that's kind of the news on the Colorado from our perspective, and it's really important to our our water resources management strategy, which is Water 2120. This is our management strategy that uses surface water that we get from the Colorado River Basin, amongst other sources like groundwater and reuse water, to meet our current demands as well as our demands 100 years into the future. Recently, those allocations from the San Juan Chama project have been less than 100%. Last year, we got 63%, and that was just due to the snowpack that was there melted off that amount. We could not have gotten our full allotment based on how much snowpack melted and got through the diversions and through the tunnel into Lake Huron. So we have been experiencing shortages already just due to Mother Nature and hydrology. Water 2120 integrates climate change analysis. It looks at our spring runoffs coming earlier in the year. It looks at a warming trend for us and takes into account climate change when we're going forward. Some of the key outcomes of Water 2120 is that we need to conserve the water that we have and have an aggressive conservation program. We need to diversify our sources with things like indirect potable reuse, our surface water sources, our groundwater sources, and our reuse system. We need to store our water when we do have it in terms of aquifer storage and recovery and in Abiquiu Reservoir that we utilize in northern New Mexico. And then we need to manage our groundwater levels and also manage our watershed. In terms of water conservation, we've done a really good job at conserving, but we do have a need to continue conserving more. In the 90s, we were about 250 gallons per person per day, and right now we're around 126 or so gallons per person per day. We need to get to 110 gallons per person per day by 2037 in order to ensure that we do have a water available in the future. We've diversified our supply portfolio. We have surface water through the San Juan Chama project that we are able to utilize from our drinking water plant. We have our groundwater wells that can be used to pump water for the system. We have a fully redundant system, so we can run the entire system on groundwater only, which we were doing before we had the surface water plant. We also, into the future, need to not only use our reuse water, our treated wastewater, but also increase our use of reuse water. And we have to do aquifer storage and recovery and put some of that water into the ground for use later. Currently, for aquifer storage and recovery, we have two full-scale projects. They're kind of the two different modes of aquifer storage and recovery. We have our Bear Canyon recharge, which is the lower picture here. It's located over by Wyoming and Spain, where we put our surface water, San Juan Chama water, onto the ground and let it percolate into the aquifer. And the Office of the State Engineer gives us credit for that water that we can actually pump out at a later date. We also have at our drinking water plant, it's not so picturesque as at the top picture. It's a well that takes our San Juan Chama water and injects it directly into the aquifer. So all the water that we're putting into the aquifer is our San Juan Chama water. And this can be used at a later time to help smooth out variability in supply. Last summer, we actually used some of the water out of the large-scale project to help meet demand during the summer. Also, in Water 2120 has a reliance on reuse for new supplies, and we are moving towards increasing our amount of reuse. One of the major plans for that is building a new wastewater treatment plant on the west side of Albuquerque near Corza Montano that will take water from our existing west side interceptor and treat it, and we'll be able to either discharge it into the river or preferably to put it onto parks on the west side, or also we're looking into another aquifer storage and recovery project on the west side. So that's exciting. We're in the planning stages of the Bosque reuse plant right now, but the project is moving forward quickly. Another water supply project that's going to help us out in terms of reuse is we are planning on connecting our south side reuse system that now takes treated wastewater and waters parks and Puerto del Sol Golf Course on the south side of town. That is eventually going to be connected with our non-potable system that waters parks like Balloon Fiesta Park on the north side of town to connect the two systems. And that'll enable us to get some of the parks on the middle of town on the east side connected to reuse water, but also we'll be able to use our north non-potable system for more aquifer storage and recovery through our Bear Canyon Arroyo project. We're also looking at increasing our storage space in Abiquiu. The Water Authority is right now in the process of finally getting the elevation that we're allowed to use in Abiquiu raised 10 feet from 6,220 feet to 6,230. We're also working with several different agencies like the Army Corps of Engineers and the Office of the State Engineer to be able to store not only San Juan Chama water in that larger space, but also native Rio Grande water that we or other entities might have to be able to increase our flexibility in terms of water resources management in Abiquiu. You know, these projects and Water 2120, Colorado River, they all come with challenges. Coordination amongst agencies has been a challenge, but we are working on that for just about all these projects. You know, Mr. Chair, you asked a question about rates and you know, rates and balancing conservation versus revenue is definitely a challenge and something that definitely needs to be kept an eye on. In terms of, you know, we have financing needs for some of these large projects like the south to north reuse line and the Bosque reuse plant, but we have a fund that can help out with that, not only our CIP program, but our Water 2120 specific project fund can help with that. And then, you know, there's a time lag for results where we're thinking on a 100-year time frame and we're building these projects, but, you know, we're not going to see some of the benefits of them until after they're actually built, which takes a long time. So in summary, you know, the Water Authority is paying attention and has increased engagement on Colorado River issues. We do have a water resource management strategy for the next 100 years, and that is due to be updated in 2026. We're investing in projects that are needed to ensure that we do have a good supply of water for those 100 years. We are leading the charge in terms of San Juan Chama project contractors, and we have infrastructure needs to bring these various supply projects online. So that concludes what I have to say, and I will stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I really appreciate that. As a new member here, all of these presentations are very helpful to understand what we're doing and where we're coming from. I think it speaks volumes to the leadership of the Water Authority and the existing leadership on the board. So with that, I'll open it up if anyone has any questions. Commissioner Baca.
I just have a question, and maybe this is for you, Director Sanchez. What is the status of the governor's 50-year water plan? They're talking about it, and it hasn't been released. Is that right? And how does it jibe with our 100-year?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Baca, the plan is done. It's being tweaked editorially, but it's waiting for transmittal. It's in the governor's office.
Councilor Fiebelkorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It just, again, every time I see these presentations, it makes me very nervous that we need to get to 110 gallons per day, and we're not doing everything we can to get to 110 gallons per day. And I know that we have until 2037. There would certainly be no problem if we reached that point earlier. And so I just, again, will encourage us to think through ways that we can really incentivize and require conservation by our users so that we are keeping with this plan and whatever's going to come out of the governor's office as well. Because I think it's clear that whether or not we're in a technical drought or not, or whether we're in stage 1 or not, we need to reduce our use in this area. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you so much, Mr. Kelly.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. That concludes other business section. Seeing that there's no other business before us, I call this meeting adjourned.
Okay.